Okay, I've been saying that I was going to do this video for I think literally 2 weeks, and I haven't put it off for any particular reason. It just felt like it kept not happening. But ShortFatOtaku is a reactionary channel. I don't know much about it apart from the fact that it's a reactionary channel. I don't know if this is like an alt-right channel. I don't know if this is just like a skeptic. I have no idea. No idea. But there was a video that came out. It was new at the time, and I'm a little curious, smidge curious about it. I haven't really. I know it says I've watched it, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. I think I just clicked through it to make sure that its content was, you know, commentable.
I'm feeling like a broken record at this point. The last
Okay, I'm experiencing this with you live, okay? Oh, that's nice. Look, we've got the tracer ass. Free Hong Kong. Wait, if it's free Hong Kong, why wouldn't you have May up there? May is the fucking symbol of the besieged proletariat of Hong Kong.
like 5 videos of mine, I've had to do some kind of old man impression.
Also, am I... Guys, what exactly do I do when this is how the person self-presents in the video? How am I meant to respond? At least he's honest, yeah. I don't know. It could be ironic.
Back in my day, politics was like this. But I really do feel the need to bring up some stuff that's happened before because it's almost like people have just forgotten about it. Okay, so at this point, you must have heard the song Scott Pilgrim vs. the World ruined a whole generation of women, right?
Oh shit, didn't we see that one time on stream? Wasn't that like that crazy incel song that like hated women? That song was wild.
By Negative XP?
Conceited with no self-esteem. She's a teenage dream if you...
Hey, copyright.
Managed to nail down.
Copyright. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Scott Pilgrim ruined a generation of women. I mistyped that in like 6 different ways. Okay, here, we can take a look at the lyrics together, okay? So we don't get fucking copyrighted. This is good, this is good. I've seen this before, but this is really good. BPD and ecstasy, conceited with low self-esteem. She's a teenage dream if you hate yourself. Bright-dyed hair and obnoxious clothes. Thinks communism is the way to go. She's a whore, a hole, a dime a dozen Jezebel. Florid mind and SSRIs, 1,000-yard stare for all those guys that she fucked and sucked before you came along. Retarded views on politics. She likes to listen to shitty music. She drinks and smokes and tokes out of a dirty bong. She saw Ramona Flowers and felt so empowered by a movie made in Hollywood. It's sad to think she's someone's daughter, like a lamb to the slaughter, but honestly, I would still hit it if I could. BPD and ecstasy, 30 years old, but she acts like she's 16, likes to go to shows because she's so fucking cool, bright-dyed hair, but she's dead inside, Plan B lifetime supply, she's a horror hole, gave head since middle school, only pedophiles in denial think she's anything worthwhile. Didn't you just say you'd hit it if you still could? Okay. Her third eye lifestyle will drive you wild, she's an alcoholic loser bitch that likes to listen to shitty music. She drinks and smokes and tokes and chokes on dick. Yeah, you get, yeah, the gist. It's a interesting song. It's basically like the incel anthem, right? It's about how feminism or whatever has ruined a generation of women and how they're all sluts and worthless whores with no self-esteem who use drugs to suppress the pain and they have daddy issues. It's basically like the ultimate straw man of what like the red pill incel types tend to think of women. It's really, the song actually slaps if you listen to it, like the actual beat. I mean, you heard the first few seconds of it there at least. I like that grungy kind of noise, you know? But as for the lyrics, like, I'm gonna be honest, okay? Listen, are you ready for it? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. There's no way to say this without coming off a little bit conceited. But as somebody who has not, at least since entering college, had any trouble whatsoever, like having sex with people who I want to have sex with, it's really cringy, okay? That song is really cringy, okay? Because the people who believe that stuff are usually people who have trouble with women, and it really shows. If that's the type of song you're into, it really shows that you're having trouble with women, okay? Because, listen, women, being people, are often pretty fucked up, but most of them, honestly, are just trying to get through their lives, you know? This hyper-specific archetype of the whore who thinks she's this empowered woman by dyeing her hair and not shaving her armpits, but she's disgusting and drug-laden or something. This is an unbelievably small fraction of the population. And for every woman who acts like that, I can find you men who are as, if not equally pathetic in every conceivable way. The main issue is that the song conflates things which you could argue are genuine character flaws with things that are just things they don't like. So if you say a person is an alcoholic, I think that's a fair criticism of them. You can argue like, all right, well, we also come to illnesses once in a while, and alcoholism, like any other addiction, is an illness, not a criminal thing, and blah, blah, blah. But I think you could fairly say, like, if a person's an alcoholic, that would be a character flaw. I think that's fair to say. But if you then say, she's a whore, she's a hole, been giving head since middle school, I don't know. That I feel like that's saying more about the person who likes the song than it is about the person who's being described in the song. When you're like impugning a person for having BPD, I mean, that's just a condition you're born with. Borderline personality disorder, or possibly bipolar, though usually BPD is put to borderline. That's a little weird. Like people, like if you have that, you're born with it. So that's the issue, like the colored hair, you watched Ramona Flowers. It's this very strange, it's this contempt. It's this seething hatred for a particular archetype, and it's really, really strange. I think it says a lot of negative stuff about it's usually trauma-based. Okay, yeah, but like, it's not the fault of the person who has it. And so, yeah, it's just really, really weird. I don't know. Anyone who likes that kind of stuff, I feel like they have some anger issues with women. It's very strange. This goes out to those Scott Pilgrim versus the World ruined an entire generation of women motherfuckers. Is there like a counter song?
Some of you may recognize the song Scott Pilgrim versus the World ruined an entire generation of women based off of some song. Scott Pilgrim versus the World ruined an entire generation of women, ruined an entire generation of men that frankly had no chance to be saved to begin with.
True.
Here we go. Skater TKYLE, he dabbles in misogyny, and he's trying to have a threesome with you. His partner is non-binary and still refers to them as she and forbids them to see any other dudes. Has no good handle on consent. His parents are the 1%. His mom pays rent but says that he's oppressed. Won't date a trans girl even though he IDs as bisexual. Refuses to go see a therapist. Some of you...
That's pretty good. You draw that one out for 3 minutes, you know? I know that type. And then we have to do... So we have Scott Pilgrim ruined a whole generation of women, and then we've got Scott Pilgrim ruined a whole generation of women, ruined a whole generation of men, and now we need to have Scott Pilgrim ruined a whole generation of women, ruined a whole generation of men, ruined a whole generation of women, and then it's a person making a video on how that video ruined women who watched that video to make fun of the men who was talking about how women were ruined by Scott Pilgrim. We go infinite. We haven't even gotten to the fucking video. Okay.
That generic 90s punk sound. A genre of music I'm really not that interested in. But nonetheless, he's got enough talent to pull it off. The quality of the music isn't what everyone's talking about, though.
Yeah?
It's the lyrics.
Yeah, we know. Skip for... Yes.
Music, dude. But this song's wildly popular. Way more popular than anything else Negative XP has done. And it is because the lyrics are describing a certain type of person that would normally be very interested in this sound. Either the type of woman who would listen to this and really enjoy it, if the lyrics were different, of course. Or alternatively, the type of man who listened to this kind of stuff in high school, grew out of it, and is now having a...
Wait, what? Yes. Well, the grungy noise would typically appeal to a certain archetype of female, but the lyrics makes him averse to... Wait, this is weird. I don't know what he's going on about.
problem finding an actual girlfriend to settle down with, because at least some of the girls his age are accurately described by this song. The actual guy himself, I'm not sure if he's just a memester or if he actually is an MRA.
I think the person who made that Ramona Flowers song is not as bad as the song itself would imply. From the last time I looked at this, I got the impression that he was just like an epic memester, more so than like a virulent misogynist. But anyone who could write that song, I think, without a deep sense of irony, probably has some issues with women personally. Incel lives do matter, though. We stand. Please, for the love of God, why can't reactionaries breathe through their nose? I mean, you see, well, because he's reclining in a lazy boy, so he has to breathe through his mouth.
But to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Either way, the establishment right now is kind of angry at him for this song. But wait, what is
Wait, were you about to ask?
the establishment?
That's a great question. What is the establishment? Are you saying like the DNC is mad at this guy? I was about to. Oh no, go for it. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're just defending an incel and a sexist because punk culture. You do realize this guy's a serious incel.
One tweet with no likes and retweets shown.
You cannot claim to be a part of a culture or subculture if you have no idea what its roots and values are. Wearing all black does not make you goth. Liking the 70s and drugs does not make you a hippie. You cannot be a conservative punk. Culture is more than appearance and interests.
2 tweets with no likes and retweets shown.
Punk cannot literally be right-wing. Shut the fuck up, Lamau. The whole point is that it's not.
That is true, though. Punk is fundamentally anti-establishment, right? I mean, we can look at the history of punk. It can't be right-wing. How would you have right-wing punk? Like, how can you be punk but advocate for traditional or reactionary values? Because punk isn't just a musical genre. It's a cultural and political archetype, a cultural and political, like, movement, wave. So, yeah. Now, I mean, when this person says punk, I don't think they're just referring to punk music. You could make punk music that has right-wing lyrics. But that would just be a song that sounds punk. I don't think you could reasonably say that it is a punk song.
What? Really? Is that the point? I didn't know that the punk subculture had a particular political slant.
You could have just ended the video right here. This is right where you should have ended the video. Right here would have been it. Right here. I didn't know it had a particular political slant. Wikipedia, punk. Oh, okay. And then he ends the video. That would have been a really good video right there. I would have lauded him if he could have ended it right here at 2 minutes and 41 seconds. I would have given, I think, very sincere props.
The punk subculture includes a diverse array of ideologies, fashion, and other forms of expression, visual art, dance, literature, and film. It is largely characterized by anti-establishment views, the promotion of individual freedom, do-it-yourself ethics, and is centered on a loud, aggressive genre of rock music called punk rock. Punk politics cover the entire political spectrum. The punk ethos is primarily made up of beliefs such as nonconformity, anti-authoritarianism, anti-corporatism, a do-it-yourself ethic, anti-consumerism, anti-corporate greed, direct action, and not selling out.
Is this meant to support his point? Yeah, a diverse array of ideologies doesn't mean including conservative ones. Look, nonconformity, what do you think reactionaries are arguing for? We can do this point by point. So, individual freedom, something the left cares a lot about, or at least the leftists that I tend to associate with. Nonconformity, when reactionary YouTubers are talking to you about how, like, the gay agenda or the trans agenda is being pushed, what do you think they're advocating for? When YouTubers get angry at people who express themselves in a way other than the hyper-normative, like, cis-het, straight fucking whatever, you know, and they get angry about it, I feel like they're advocating for conformity. In fact, this video, the literal song we just listened to, was making fun of a woman for having sex with men, for having her hair be blue, and for drinking and using drugs. Is that punk? So that goes against individual freedom, that goes against nonconformity, and I could argue that would go against anti-authoritarianism too, if you're ascribing some sort of like pejorative moral belief to her behavior.
There's a wide array of punk fashion, including deliberately offensive t-shirts, leather jackets, Dr. Martens boots, hairstyles such as brightly colored hair and spiked mohawks, cosmetics, tattoos, jewelry, and body modification. Women in the
All thing that conservatives fucking hate, by the way. Yeah, conservatives, reactionaries are super into it when women wear traditionally masculine clothing, body mods, tattoos, cosmetics, and mohawks. They love that shit. There's just the huge like reactionary community on YouTube that advocates for all of these things.
hardcore scene, it typically...
Now, I want to be clear though, by the way. It is possible for conservatives to adopt not Nazi aesthetics, to adopt punk aesthetics, and it is possible for punk music to have reactionary lyrics. But the overall genre of punk, the predominant cultural and political predilection of the movement, has always been deeply left-leaning, or at the very least, deeply anarchic.
wear masculine clothing. This definitely sounds like it can describe the left. The anti-corporatism, the direct action, the not selling out, as well as the fashion style, are all enjoyed by people on the radical left right now. But this also describes the right. The anti-authoritarianism and the do-it-yourself ethic, both things that are championed right now by the right.
Yes. Anti-authoritarianism, as broadly known by the right. Yes, the right, traditionally known for challenging systems of power. Well, it's true, though, they do. They do challenge systems of power. The SJWs on college campuses have long worked their nefarious scheme to suppress the white man, and to oppose these people is, in essence, a form of anti-authoritarianism. Guys, we're all Jordan Peterson fans here, I assume? C-16, highly authoritarian state overreach? I mean, we can stretch definitions all the fuck we want. It's not happening. Punk is left wing.
As I described in the video 2 days ago, why is preparation problematic, are actively rejected by the radical left right now. They want the centralized authority to implement socialism.
What? Oh, we got another socialism understander. They want a centralized authority. What, like Bernie Sanders? Who are we talking about? What are we talking about?
And they want people dependent on that socialism, which means the do-it-yourself ethic is
What?
out.
What do you mean dependent on what does that mean, to be dependent on socialism? Right now, you're dependent on capitalism. You realize that, right? You're dependent on whatever economic system you exist in, unless you go out into the forest and barter for your fucking food. So, what does that even mean?
It's my layman's understanding that the actual core of what punk is the anti-authoritarianism. It's being a part of the counterculture. In fact, it's being explicitly offensive towards the mainstream.
Yeah.
They're satirists, they're iconoclasts.
I'd agree with that.
They say and do things that the Karens of the world clutch their pearls at, and they say and do them specifically to cause that reaction.
No, not... well, we could say Karens, and that is a very evocative term right now, but I would say a more accurate description would be WASP suburban moms. There are left-leaning Karens, but when I actually think about the people who hate punk, it's not people who are mean to, cashiers. It tends to be the people who fell for the satanic panic back in the 80s, or the people who wanted video games banned back in the 90s. That's the group of people that tends to get really upset about this stuff. Highly moralistic white people, usually very conservative, who don't like it when people stray from traditional values.
But, as expected, there are a lot of social justice punks, basically just feminist women who like the fashion, who are, unsurprisingly, shitting all over Negative XP for his song.
Some of you may recognize the song Scott Pilgrim vs. the World from an entire generation of women based on...
We didn't have to watch it earlier! It's all coming back around!
Some pop Pilgrim vs. the World with
Misogyny.
This is really lazy. You just put the whole damn video in here?
She has no good hair.
Oh, whoa. Lol, you mad, bro? Oh, shit, this guy's mad at the video. He can't even just show it without adding his commentary. Now that's an epic rebuttal right here. Punk is meant to offend, not be offended. That's what it says. That's what my webcam is blocking. I don't know what that has to do with this.
His parents are the 1%. His mom
At least try to play it as well. Shit, dude. Dude, this guy's so mad. He can't just show the video.
Refuses to go see a therapist.
I guess punk is about embracing the establishment politics and sanitizing language now.
What? So it's embracing establishment politics to critique misogyny. That is ultimately, that's why I'm criticizing this shit. Because these stupid motherfuckers will play word games to try and make it seem like conservatism is now the new counterculture. It's not, motherfucker. Why do you think the punk said Nazi punks fuck off? Like, what? Nazi punks fuck off. Like anarchy in the UK. Why do you think they criticized conservatism? When punks were like, fuck Nazis, do you think that was kowtowing to the establishment by censoring the free speech of Nazis? Or do you think it was actually more likely that people like Nazis or people like misogynists are actually just extreme outcroppings of the establishment? Whether you like it or not, guys, and I know that people like ShortFatOtaku over here are stupid and don't really have a broader understanding of cultural perspective, but the people in charge of our society are pretty fucking conservative. Blue-haired SJW college student punk whatevers aren't running our fucking halls of Congress, they're not in the Supreme Court, they're not in the presidency, they're not in our school boards, they're not running our PTA meetings, they're not our governors, they're not our mayors, they are full-on fucking college students. They're not meaningfully in a position of power, and just because they're popular on fucking TikTok or Instagram doesn't mean that they become the establishment. So it's not exactly kowtowing to authoritarian politics by writing a song to critique misogyny. Like, if we actually back off the euphemisms here, that's the argument ShortFatOtaku just made. It is pro-establishment to write a minute-long song on TikTok where you critique someone for being misogynistic. That is the actual argument that is being made here. Does that sound like a sound argument to you guys? Are you feeling it right? In your heart. Everyone, shh, be quiet. Listen to your heart. Does that sound like a good argument? Or does that sound like a fucking loser conservative desperately trying to imagine that they're the counterculture, even though they believe in and support every hegemonic authoritarian belief that's been pushed for the past century? I mean, whatever sounds more likely to you. First video I've done of ShortFatOtaku, by the way. Whew, hope it gets better.
Guys, I guess it's all about falling in line with the corporate-sponsored climate protests.
Corporates, but what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Corporate-sponsored climate protests. Also, as long as the President of the United States of America still doesn't really seem to believe in climate change, it doesn't matter if climate protests are corporate funded. They also do this to try and make it sound like activism is a counterculture. Like there'll be a bunch of like grassroots protests, but one of them will be sponsored by Coca-Cola or something, and then all of them will snicker and go like, I thought you were anti-corporate. There's no actual willingness to engage with these ideas. They just like feeling like they're oppressed.
Or ratting out rule breakers who are going outside for non-essentials right now. Or
what? What does that have to do with the what does that have to do with punk? These are, I guess he's just like listing random things. I assume that he like was drawing this back to a central point, but I don't know.
Demanding government handouts. What happened to the do-it-yourself?
Wait, demanding government wait, what? It's not punk to want some kind of UBI stipulation while the government has shut down most businesses. What? Yeah, that's our tax money, motherfucker.
Ethic. They're no longer the counterculture, they're part of the establishment now. They still desperately want to cling to that rebellious feel.
We've shown one TikTok video, a few tweets from people with no likes and retweets shown, and then he just vaguely listed corporate-sponsored climate protests and people ratting on those who go outside without masks. And now we have established the left is actually the real authoritarian culture, and the right is the counterculture. We've done it. That's all it took, believe it or not.
That they're somehow the freedom fighters going up against the entire world. But who actually believes it? All of their musical stars are past middle age taking corporate sponsorships.
What?
Their fashion is mainstream.
What?
Their subculture is now popular and profitable.
Wait, are we talking about punk? Wait, punk fashion is mainstream? Mainstream is a t-shirt and jeans. Mainstream is a button-up shirt with a sweater over it. What are we talking about? Yeah, punk is like kind of dead. What? Wait, the right is the new counterculture because old punk musicians are old now? Okay, guys, listen. Punk isn't dead, but also, let's be real, punk is kind of dead, okay? Hey, it's okay. Listen, punk had its time. Now we have Fortnite dances, okay? The new Zoomer generation, the new anti-authoritarian Zoomer generation is evolving, okay?
Like Scott Pilgrim has shown us. I saw a fascist who is still
Oh, we got a tweet with 1 like this time.
thinking about this and how punk is anti-establishment, so we can continue to be Trumpian and listen to punk. Oh, really? And how anti-establishment are you? Considering that virtue signaling is the establishment now.
What the fuck does that mean? Virtue signaling is the establishment? Any group of people can virtue signal. Conservatives virtue signal all the time. All that tinfoil hat, fucking conspiracism, all that empty patriotism, that's all virtue signaling. Republicans are literally in government right now. Hey guys, I'm sorry, you can't be a fan of the current sitting president who is an authoritarian and also claim to be anti-establishment. You can't do it. You're not allowed. I'm really sorry, guys. You can't do it. You're not allowed to. I'm really, really sorry. These people, they'll act like they're like a besieged minority. Dude, the Nazis of the, I keep saying Nazis because of like the term Nazi punks, but the punks of the 1980s, they literally had their shows broken up by police. Like, the punks of the 1980s were anarchic. They were constantly subjected to storms of media hatred. They didn't have a fucking president in office. Are you kidding me? It's not like punk of the 80s was like pro-democratic party either. Like even remotely. They were for the most part like full on like ACAB anarcho dipshits who would, you know, piss on each other at shows and generally make a ruckus. And that's what people loved them for. So like they were very anti-establishment. If you're a Trump supporter, you just can't lay claim to that. And it's honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, it's kind of cringe. It's kind of fucking cringe. When conservative authoritarians who are simps for the current sitting president, who want to scale back on cultural degeneracy, believe that they're the counterculture, that they're the new punk rock. It's kind of cringe. I don't know. We're not really buying it.
And you've got that rainbow flag emoji in your name. You've got those pronouns in your bio.
Pronouns in bio. You claim to be counterculture? Pronouns in bio are the establishment. Rainbow flags in your Twitter name are the establishment. How do you feel now, motherfucker?
And yes, virtue signaling is the mainstream culture right now.
You virtue signal? Now you're the establishment.
I don't give a fuck if you're cisgender. Put your damn pronouns in your bio.
Anime avatar picture? Now you're the establishment. Pronouns in bio? Now you're the establishment.
Hey, just want to urge cis oomps to put your pronouns in your bio. Let's help create a safe space for the transgender community. A good way to...
28 likes and 12 retweets? Now you're the establishment. Holy... Is ShortFatOtaku, like, okay mentally? Does he actually believe that, like, name-searching pronouns in your bio, that's why pronouns in your bio is bolded, by the way, and finding it on Twitter is, like, an accurate indicator of who's on top of power structures in society? This is insane. Wait, if I, like, Google searched MAGA, I would not be showcasing things with 12 retweets and 28 likes, my dude. But even then, even though I can make a better case using your methods than you can, I would not use those methods because that's not how you make arguments. People asking for pronouns in bio is a little cringe. I don't fucking care. They're not power majority holders in society. I don't give a shit. If people want to put pronouns in their bio on fucking Twitter, what business? I don't care. It doesn't affect anyone. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change the world. Maybe it like does something for them. Like, maybe they like it. Like, that's great. Let them. Hey, remember how this guy claimed that he was pro-individualism and anti-authoritarianism, but he's making fun of these people for exercising their individual will in a completely harmless way? That's kind of interesting, huh? I thought this guy was supposed to be anti-collectivism over here. I thought he was supposed to be pro-individualism, but here he is making fun of people for identifying in the way they would want. That's interesting.
Signal to trans people that you're with them is to put your pronouns in your bio. We would like this to become standard practice because it makes more sense. Putting pronouns in your bio for cis people helps normalize and protect trans individuals. If this is the mainstream right now...
If that's the mainstream, after going over a tweet with 4 likes, the President of the United States of America took trans people off the White House website and banned them from the military. And we've had all that trans bathroom bill horseshit. Dude, you're actually like delusional. This ShortFat, I didn't know what this video was when I got in. This person is actually delusional. They actually believe that if you just look for terms on Twitter, that is the metric by which you can determine who the majority power holders in society are. That is incredible.
Bio for cis people helps normalize and protect trans individuals. If this is the mainstream right now, then the offensive counterculture would be to parody this, but sarcastically using Z and Zer, or mentioning identifying as an attack helicopter or something.
Oh my God. I didn't realize this would be such low-hanging fruit. You see, the real anti-authoritarianism is when you make helicopter jokes to oppose the trans hegemony on Twitter, the true bastion of power in society.
That's not considered punk, even though it actually fits with the original spirit of punk. That's considered fascist or whatever.
Dude, this guy's like a LARPer. This guy this is really sad. He really wants to be anti-establishment. I'm really sorry, my dude. Hey, listen, ShortFatOtaku. If you want to talk sometime, we can talk about what you could do to be an anti-establishment type, okay? Lauding the sitting president and wanting people to return to traditional gender and sexual norms, believe it or not, isn't actually that punk, my dude. I'm really sorry. I'm super sorry, my dude.
Alright, forget the stupid Twitter junk for a minute.
Yeah, okay. Sure, yeah, I'll forget it forever because it made you look really dumb.
The punk subculture is still about being shocking. It's still about being provocative.
Okay, but they were shocking a specific group of people for the most part. When punk people do their mohawks and crazy get-ups and say the stuff that they say, they were trying to offend moralistic people. Like, for the most part, okay, guys, I could be wrong. Guys, I'm not that into the music scene. So you guys let me know, okay? Let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. The punk scene, when they try to offend groups, usually punched up, right? So they would make fun of religion. They would make fun of the political establishment. They would make fun of, in some cases, depending on how radical the group is, like the white supremacy or like patriarchy. Sometimes they would, though it was usually more of a broad anti-establishment thing, okay? Punk groups did not usually punch down. There weren't usually, back in the 80s, back in the heyday of the punk scene, a bunch of people who'd be like, yeah, we're edgy punk. Fuck black people, am I right? And fuck women, am I right? That wasn't generally the vibe, I don't think. They usually directed their criticisms up because, again, if you are countercultural and you are anti-establishment, you're usually going to direct your criticisms up at those people because that's the establishment. Doesn't make much sense to be anti-establishment and then leverage your propensity to offend against the people who are not power majority holders.
It's still about causing moral panics. The only difference is, it's now the punks themselves that are the targets of it.
The difference is, there's a difference between a moral panic and just being immoral. The WASP moms worrying their kids were listening to satanic rituals by playing punk rock backwards in their homes, that's a moral panic. People believing that communists have infiltrated Hollywood during the McCarthy era, that's a moral panic. People believing that video games are teaching all of our kids to be murder machines, that's a moral panic. Fascists walking around on the streets in open neo-Nazi marches being opposed by counter-protesters, that's not a moral panic. That's just immoral. That's just fighting against immorality. A moral panic is usually a derogatory term for people who ascribe some kind of empirical moral harm to a harmless thing. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, punks would beat up skinheads. Yeah. That wasn't a moral panic. Oh yeah, dude, when America fought against the Nazis, that was a moral panic. We had a moral panic about the Nazis. No. I don't think so, my dude.
Again, at the risk of sounding like an old man, the left of today has failed to...
Everyone, preemptively, rate 1 to 5 how stupid this take is about to be. Rate 1 to 5, okay? I guess I didn't really give you guys whether the 1 or the 5 was the stupidest one. Well, it's a group effort, okay?
Realize that we've advanced into a new political era. The Republicans were once the party of George Bush and the neocons. They were all about globalist corporatism.
This motherfucker is a fascist. I don't know if this guy's a neo-Nazi. This dude is 100% a fascist. I wonder if he has a video out on Nick Fuentes. Oh, 100%. If you start using the term globalist to describe Republicans, I know exactly. I know your fucking mark.
Eternal war in the Middle East, generally over oil, and codifying Christian fundamentalism into American law. During that era,
as opposed to Trump, who is still codifying Christian moralism into American law by saying that the Bible is the most important book in the world to him, still codifying Christian morality by opposing gender and sexual minorities, continuing wars by upping drone strikes from Obama, continuing the wars in Yemen, pulling out of our boys in Syria, which prolongs war in that region. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. A huge departure. Yeah, Mike Pence. Oh yeah, dude. They used to be about a global war and religious moralism, but now they have Mike Pence in office.
The 90s and the 2000s. It was very easy for the left to hold the moral high ground against that kind of an opponent. And most people who are relatively apolitical, but lazily identify as center-left, do so because of that era. Left became the dominant political affiliation for your average Joe.
What? George Bush had a massive approval rating immediately after 9/11. What the fuck are you talking about? Hold on. Can I get a graph on this? Hold on. Is this legitimate? Okay, this is legitimate. It doesn't have any axes, though. It works next to the other graphs that I see. This one's just more high res. Blue is approve, red is disapprove, green is indifferent. After 9/11, he had an unprecedentedly high historical approval rating. It was only into his second term that people started to dislike him. And the reason they disliked him was in large part because he was fucking incompetent. He had no idea what he was doing in Iraq and Afghanistan. Green, yellow, whatever. Yeah, notice how the undecided plummets right after 9/11. Immediately after 9/11, there was 7% of the population that wasn't in full approval of him. It's wild. The idea that George Bush was this magnate for the counterculture is ridiculous. Right now, oh God, I think that the Democrats narrowly outmargin the Republicans in terms of total population, and we would probably do so even more if there weren't so many disenfranchised black and brown people in this country. But yeah.
Because the right was just constantly dropping the ball. But there was
as opposed to Trump.
Paradigm shift in 2012. Again, go back to that Rachel Maddow clip that I posted a week or so ago.
What?
The Republicans got destroyed in those elections. And when they came back, they were not George Bush's Republicans. The remnants of that Republican Party are still embodied in the Mitt Romney Never Trumpers, who are basically losers at this point. They have no political capital anymore.
I like listening to politically ignorant people try to describe a rise in populism as though it meaningfully changes anything. So our highly conservative, borderline fascist, neoconservative, economically obsessed, cuck to business, cuck to Israel, a religious authoritarian Republicans became that, except less articulate. And this is in some way a massive change. There's literally data that the average American identifies as center-right or moderate conservative. I'd have to take a look at it.
But the left still pretends like it has the moral high ground, like it's fighting the right wing of old. Like,
What the fuck? This doesn't mean anything. What? The left believes it's fighting against George Bush, when actually it's fighting against Trump. What the fuck does that mean? I love it when people who clearly have no fucking idea what politics means try to talk about politics.
they are somehow still the counterculture. Still the subversive.
Yes, you're the president. And the left? Are you kidding? Even if we take the left to mean everyone who supported Bernie Sanders, that's still a minority. You have the president. You can't pretend to be anti-establishment when you're standing for the president of the United States.
Element taking on the evil empire. But that's just not how it is anymore. The radical left is not the rebellion. And this whole punk thing with this, frankly, kind of dumb negative XP song perfectly encapsulates this wider issue. These people have been so used to thinking that they are the counterculture, that now that they're not, now that they've actually seized cultural power, now that their ideology can be found everywhere in our society.
Ah, yes. Those tweets surely did. I can't, like, this, like, I mean, we're done with this video. This guy literally thinks that you determine who the majority power holder in society is by what trends are on Twitter. He didn't even find, like, a big trend. He just found one big tweet and 3 tweets with no engagement whatsoever. That's his entire argument. It's incredible. True, Comrade Cora. It's true, though. Like, that guy, I would bet you anything that if I had a conversation with that fucking idiot, ShortFatOtaku, that he would come down and defend basically every, like, anti-degeneracy, like, pro-authoritarian argument imaginable. There's no way in fuck this guy is not an authoritarian. I would guarantee it off of anything. But he can talk with me if he wants to, you know. Vosh, I don't want to take his side, but how do you know he agrees with Trump? Maybe he's an edgy libertarian who hates Democrats and Republicans. Does anyone really get the impression this guy doesn't like Trump? Does anyone actually feel that way? He spent the entire time criticizing the left, and then he described Trump as some sort of countercultural, anti-authoritarian alternative. Nah, this dude's a Trumper 100%. 100%. Nice meme. I mean, it could be conceivable, but hey, you know what? He's so bad at articulating his politics that if he's that inarticulate, it's up to him to renounce his or disavow his political beliefs. He can talk with me if he would like to. Yeah, dude. It's over. I didn't realize we're the establishment now. They're actually delusional. Remember that debate that I did with JF where he literally argued that, like, people like me are about to seize power? Like, I'm basically already in power? Yeah, guys, he literally made fun of never-Trumpers, who he called losers. Yeah, okay. He's Canadian? And? You think there aren't Canadians who... Stephen Crowder is a Canadian. Stefan Molyneux is a Canadian. JF Gariepi is a Canadian. There are a fuck ton of degenerate Canada cucks who are coming down to suckle our teat of politics. Anyway, yeah, JF Gariepi. Dude, I wish I was as powerful as these delusional motherfuckers seem to think I am. That would be so nice. Oh yeah, Jordan Peterson, of course. Lauren Chen and Lauren Southern. Yep. Yeah.